When 61-year-old black veteran Maurice Langston walked into court wearing his Medal of Honor, he didn't expect applause, but he didn't expect this either. "Remove that medal or I'll hold you in contempt," the judge snapped. What happened next didn't just shake the courtroom, it shook the entire nation. 61-year-old Maurice Langston stood tall in the courtroom, wearing the Medal of Honor over his crisp navy blue suit. He wasn't just a witness, he was the soul of a buried truth. When the judge saw the medal, he banged his gavel, ordering Maurice to remove it, saying, "This is a courtroom, not a parade." The room fell silent, and so did Maurice. The judge doubled down. "Either remove the medal or I'll hold you in contempt." Maurice didn't flinch. The defense attorney looked smug. The prosecutor looked worried. But nobody knew what Maurice was about to reveal, what that medal actually meant 24 years ago. Maurice dragged 3 wounded soldiers through enemy fire while his own leg bled out. Helicopters circled. A grenade rolled near his chest. He threw it back. That act earned him the medal. The judge now dismissed like a novelty pin the case Maurice had come to testify in. A civil rights abuse. A black teenage girl tased by police in a grocery store parking lot. Her name, Naomi. Daughter, he never met her. But she had his eyes. Her mother never told him until Naomi was gone. Behind the bench, Judge Peter Rawlins had a history. He'd dismissed multiple excessive force cases, every single one involving black victims. He called them overly emotional or disrespectful. This trial would expose more than just a rogue cop. It would expose him. Maurice finally spoke. "I wore this medal not to boast but to remind this country that I bled for it, even when it doesn't bleed for me." He sat back down. The courtroom was no longer under the judge's control. The crowd's silence turned to suppressed murmurs. Maurice gave his testimony. The body cam footage Naomi had recorded on her phone before it was lost in custody, but he had backups. Her screams echoed through the courtroom. So did the officer's slurs. Maurice never broke eye contact with the judge. Shock spread when Maurice revealed that officer was once your clerk. Judge Rawlins. The room froze. Rawlins paled. The prosecution demanded an ethics investigation. Cameras in the courtroom began broadcasting live. America was watching. Maurice pulled a folded blood-stained letter from his pocket. Naomi's final words. "I'm scared, but if something happens, tell them my life mattered. Tell them I wasn't just another noise they could silence." Grown men wept. The courtroom wasn't a courtroom anymore, it was a reckoning. Rawlins stood up, red-faced. "This court is adjourned until further notice." But the bailiff didn't move. "Sir, the governor is on the phone, and you're being investigated." Maurice, still seated, finally removed the medal and placed it on the bench in front of the judge. Social media exploded. #MedalV's gavel trended worldwide. Thousands marched in silence, wearing makeshift medals over their chests. Soldiers, veterans, and civilians stood united. A movement began not just for Naomi but for every unseen injustice. Weeks later, a new judge presided. Rawlins had resigned. The cop who tased Naomi faced new charges. Maurice was asked to return not as a witness, but to deliver the opening statement in a public hearing on judicial reform. This time, nobody told him to take the medal off. Maurice visited Naomi's grave. He knelt, placed the medal on the stone, and whispered, "You didn't die in vain." Behind him stood thousands. Veterans, activists, judges, children. For the first time in decades, Maurice wept not for what he lost, but for what he helped change. If this story moved you even a little, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because more untold truths like this are coming. There are moments in history that echo far beyond the walls where they unfold. Maurice Langston's story is one of those moments. And the lesson we get from it isn't just about one man or one courtroom. It's about how we treat dignity, truth, and sacrifice, especially when they come from those we often overlook. Maurice Langston, a 61-year-old black veteran, didn't walk into that courtroom seeking pity. He didn't come to flaunt his service. He came to testify in a case of brutal injustice against the very system he once risked his life to protect. And yet, before he could even speak, he was asked to strip away the one symbol that captured his sacrifice, his Medal of Honor. Why? Because a judge who had never seen combat, never buried a fellow soldier, never crawled through blood and fear, felt that the medal was a distraction. But the truth is, the real distraction wasn't the medal. It was what the medal reminded everyone of: a truth this system has long tried to bury. That dignity has a color in this country. That sacrifice is praised only when it's convenient, and that power doesn't like to be reminded it's not earned by title alone. The medal isn't just metal, it's memory. For Maurice, that medal wasn't for decoration. It wasn't vanity. It was memory. It represented the lives he couldn't save, the promises he made to dying soldiers, the nightmares he still wakes up from. Stripping it off wasn't just removing a piece of jewelry. It was an attempt to silence everything that medal stood for. And too often, society tries to do exactly that with people like Maurice. Strip them of their voice, their truth, their honor, before they speak. -2. Truth makes people uncomfortable, especially when it's worn with pride. The judge wasn't Afraid of Maurice's medal. He was afraid of what it symbolized. It was a mirror to a justice system that praises veterans when they're marching in parades but asks them to shrink when they speak out against injustice. A system that hands out thank you for your service without ever asking, what did it cost you? The lesson: we must be willing to face uncomfortable truths even when they challenge our pride or our power. -3. Titles don't equal honor. Actions do. The contrast between the judge and Maurice couldn't have been more profound. One held a gavel. The other held a nation's highest military honor. One ordered silence. The other carried stories of blood, sacrifice, and loyalty. One tried to suppress truth. The other lived through hell to speak it. This story reminds us that honor is not worn in black robes or stitched into fancy chairs. It's carried by those who bleed for others, who tell the truth when it hurts, and who fight battles both on foreign soil and in their own communities. For justice isn't justice if it's conditional. Was not just a veteran, he was also a father to a daughter he never got to raise. Naomi, a girl whose life was cut short by those who saw her skin as a threat. He didn't ask for revenge. He didn't shout or curse. He brought her truth into that courtroom, and for that, he was nearly silenced. What kind of justice demands that you strip your identity, your story, and your grief to be heard? The lesson is simple, but heavy. Justice doesn't exist if only the comfortable get to define it, and real reform doesn't begin with laws. It begins with listening. -5. We all have a role in protecting honor. Maurice Langston's story is a wake-up call for all of us. Not everyone wears a medal. Not everyone stands in a courtroom. But all of us have moments where we're faced with a choice. Do we speak up, even when we're told to be quiet? Do we defend the truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable? Do we honor sacrifice, or do we treat it as spectacle? Maurice didn't have to say much. His presence, his calm, and his quiet strength were enough. And maybe that's the most powerful lesson of all. True honor doesn't shout, it stands, it endures, and eventually it changes everything. In the end, the judge tried to reduce Maurice Langston to just another witness. But he wasn't just a witness, he was a father, a soldier, a symbol, and more than anything, a reminder that you can silence a man, but you can't silence what he stood for. So the next time someone asks you to remove your truth, your dignity, or your pain to make them more comfortable, remember Maurice. And keep your medal on. And now, I want to ask you, do you think a judge should ever have the right to ask a veteran to remove their Medal of Honor inside a courtroom? Let us know in the comments below. Your voice matters. Like, share, subscribe, because justice isn't silent, and neither are we.